Alex Kantrowitz and Casey Newton. And guys, it's great to have you both here. Alex, I'll start with you. I mean, even Musk said he doesn't know if this is going to happen. The market seems to have placed its bet. What do you think?
I don't think there's any way that this happens. I mean, you mentioned the market. Twitter stock is down today. It doesn't look like they believe that there's anything to Musk. Musk doesn't have the funding in place yet. I mean, he could sell Tesla shares, but it's a highly unlikely thing for him to do. He said himself today at TED that it's not a money-making thing to him. It's an ideology thing to him. So I think the most likely outcome here is that the board rejects his offer and that he sells his shares, and that paves a very difficult road for Twitter in the months ahead.
Casey, is this as easy a no as Alex paints?
Well, every time I make a prediction about what's about to happen with Twitter and Elon Musk, I get it completely wrong. So I'm inclined to think that Alex is right. You know, normally when you see somebody mount a hostile takeover like this, they line up the funding first. Elon Musk has made it very clear that this plan does not have a lot of details. But stranger things have happened, and I have learned to expect the unexpected when it comes to this Twitter user and Twitter.
So let me ask you this, because I just exchanged some texts with Dick Costolo. Okay, he's the former Twitter CEO, as you know. I asked him what he thinks is going to happen, and he says, quote, he thinks that Musk loses patience with the formal process. You could take that for what you will and what that means to where this all goes. But Casey, what do you think about that? That it sounds all fine and good on the surface, but this is going to be a longer road than maybe Musk expects. And at least in Costolo's mind, he just loses patience with the formality of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a good question. How long is Elon Musk's attention span? And if it were really long, would he really be running 3 companies at the same time, maybe trying to run a 4th? So I do think that there's an argument that he loses patience. But in particular, I think he would lose patience with just the various irritations of having to run a company like that, right? He's going to have a huge section of the user base who are, angry at him every single day. And there are a lot of SEC issues, I think, to worry about in the run-up to this. So there's a lot for him that could potentially be very obnoxious to deal with.
I mean, Alex, the implication, of course, from Costolo is that he's not going to stick around, right? He's just going to lose patience with the formality of the whole thing, and then he's going to end up bouncing. He's, look, his tweets would suggest otherwise, at least right now. 3:30 this afternoon, he tweets, it would be utterly indefensible not to put this offer to a shareholder vote. They own the company, not the board of directors. What do you think about that? Because, I mean, look, the board can make a determination clearly that the offer doesn't meet the value that they think the company has.
Yeah, I have to disagree with Dick on this one. I mean, there's this myth that Elon has a short attention span and won't see things through. I mean, look at it. Look what he's done with Tesla and SpaceX. When this guy gets something in his head, he goes for it and he does it. I think the main question is not going to be whether he wants to, can pay attention to it longer, but whether he ultimately looks at the amount of work that gets put into running a company like Twitter and decides that, it's worth the sacrifice from Tesla, from SpaceX, which are, again, 2 parts of his, ideas to make the world better, make us a multiplanetary species, make us, bring us to electric vehicles. But I'll say I watched him at TED today, and he gave some really well thought out answers about what he wants to do with Twitter, better than I was expecting. So I think, what Casey mentioned earlier, expect the unexpected with Elon is spot on. But again, I just think that it's a funding issue for him. And I think that it's a bluff, really, to try to punish Twitter for, not taking his input seriously at the beginning.
So you don't think that he'll raise his offer? And let me bring you, another tweet by way of Mark Cuban, who doesn't take this whole thing serious to begin with. He says, my conclusion, Elon Musk is blanking with the SEC. His filing with the SEC allows him to say he wants to take a company private for $54.20. Then he has a laugh emoji. Versus, am considering taking Tesla private at $4.20, funding secured. Price go up, his shares get sold, profit, SEC like WTF just happened. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think Cuban's right. Look, I think that Elon has the will to do this if he would want to go through it. He has the wherewithal to do it. But again, the details aren't there. The money isn't there. We can expect the unexpected with Elon, but all the signs right now point to him, screwing with the SEC, Twitter investors and Twitter employees and Twitter executives right now. The man is the master troll on Twitter, and it does appear like we're in the middle of one of his games.
So, Casey, do you agree that this best and final offer, which Musk claimed it is, really is?
Well, it's pretty unusual in any business negotiation for the first offer to be the final one, right? It was kind of a strange thing to put there. You know, Elon said on stage at TED today that there is a plan B, which he declined to specify. And that actually leads me to believe that he's not just messing around with the SEC. I really am inclined to take him at face value that he does want to find some way to do that, and it may involve making more than one offer.